Tulsa fire marshals are trying to figure out who set off a firework in a Tulsa man's mailbox and caught the yard on fire. Today at 5, the homeowner tells us how his neighbors saved his house.
And here's a look at your traffic on the first really business day, we'll say, of the new year. And it's moving, but it is not really moving that slow or that fast. It's just looking pretty good. We have some slowdown southbound on 75 now with the usual traffic that's kind of merging onto 75 from I-44. But overall, again, most of the aerial arteries are looking very good, and there is no real difficulties at this point, just southbound at 44. And that is about the only place. And we're talking about temperatures that are just nice. The roads are good. And just drive time to Glenpool and Bixby, just a little bit on the slower side. To Catoosa, about 11 minutes.
Did y'all see this during football yesterday? My goodness, it was a case of wrong place, wrong time for a Dallas Cowboys cheerleader.
So yesterday, during the Commanders-Cowboys game, Brandon Aubrey shanked the kickoff, sending the ball way out of bounds and into the back of the head of one of the cheerleaders. She laughed it off. The Commanders actually got great field position and went on to beat Dallas 23-19. Dallas heads home for the season after a 7-10 record.
Poor girl.
She's
okay.
was great, though, yeah.
Bless her heart.
Thanks for being with us here at 4.
Live from downtown Tulsa, Oklahoma's own News on 6 starts now.
Next to 5, we are below freezing, and Travis says it's not going to warm up for a few days. He has the latest, including whether we'll get any snow later in the week.
And we're going to talk to folks in Manford who went hours in that cold without any power.
First here at 5 o'clock, someone set off a firework in a Tulsa man's mailbox, and that set his yard on fire. Thanks for joining us. I'm Craig Day.
And I'm Lori Fullbright. It happened near 31st and Sheridan, and Tulsa fire marshals are now looking for the person who did it. The homeowner tells News on 6's Reagan Ledbetter it's been pretty unsettling. Reagan.
Craig and Lori, Travis Turman says he and his girlfriend were out of town and got a FaceTime call from their neighbors saying their whole yard was on fire and the fire was just a couple of feet from their house. Tulsa fire marshals are trying to figure out who set off a firework in this mailbox over the weekend. The explosion caught the yard on fire and it quickly spread. Travis Turman and his girlfriend were visiting family in another state when their neighbor called them.
They heard a big loud bang, so all the neighbors were coming out and checking on the yard, and they started showing us video of the front yard, just kind of a big ring of fire, and people were spraying the hose.
Turman says thank God for his neighbors who sprayed water on the fire and got it out just before it reached the house. He says when they got home the next day, they found debris in the mailbox that looked like a firework. He says it's scary because the fire was just a couple feet from his bedroom.
Is it just a prank or somebody actually trying to do something to our house? It's just one of those things where I don't really know what to think until we figure out who did it.
Fire marshals are now looking for surveillance video in the neighborhood to see if they can figure out who put it in the mailbox and lit it. Turman says he's thankful his neighbors saved his house.
I don't know if everybody was asleep and didn't come out and check on it. There's a possibility that it could get into these leaves and, done some damage to our house. So I was just super thankful that everybody kind of jumped into action and called the fire department and got out here and was stomping in the yard and spraying our yard. So I was just super thankful for good neighbors.
Now, if you have any information that could help investigators or some surveillance video, call the fire marshal's office. The number is 918-596-9422. Lori.
All right, Reagan, thank you. And the postal inspector reminds people it is a federal crime to vandalize a mailbox or damage the mail that's inside. A fugitive from the Oklahoma Attorney General's most wanted list has been arrested in Michigan. Investigators say Virginia Hubbard worked as a caretaker for an 80-year-old woman in Tulsa County. They say Hubbard, though, abused that woman, barely fed her, let her live in filthy conditions, and took more than $30,000 from her. Investigators say they got a tip that Hubbard was in Detroit, so they contacted police there, and they made the arrest. This is the 6th fugitive from the AG's most wanted list to now be captured. And U.S. Marshals are asking for your help to find 2 of our most wanted Monday suspects. Investigators say Jeremy Stage and Osmond Sanchez are both wanted for drug trafficking and were both last seen in the Tulsa area. If you know where they are, you can contact the U.S. Marshals office at 1-877-WANTED-2, or you can go online to usmarshals.gov/tips. And one of our previous Most Wanted Monday fugitives has been captured. They picked up Brittany Kelly this weekend in Turley. She was wanted for bogus checks and trafficking in fentanyl.
Tulsa police say a wreck in a neighborhood near 31st and Memorial killed a man today. Officers say a car with 3 men inside was speeding and crashed into a tree. A passenger got trapped in the back seat and died. The other passenger and the driver have minor injuries. Investigators haven't released the names of any of those men.
Talk about fresh air straight out of the North Pole. It was a cold yesterday afternoon and last night and this morning. Temperatures dropping down to 9 degrees at Pawhuska, 12 in Bartlesville, 13 here in Tulsa. And so with the north wind blowing, it has just been a rough day. Even though the sun was shining, which helped, but you had to be pretty much out of the wind in order to at least just go, okay, it's not quite as taking my breath away. But temperatures are in the 20s to around 30 right now. Wind chills continuing to be low because the wind has been blowing all day long. So in the teens to low 20s at this moment. As we head into the evening hours, you can pretty much imagine what's going to happen. It's going to be cold. We'll have a continuing north wind and temperatures slowly falling into the teens. With that north wind around 10 miles an hour, most of the wind chills will be in the teens to around 10. Winter, it's on repeat all of a sudden, and how cold it's going to get, we're going to talk about that, and some more snow is around the corner. More on your forecast shortly.
Thanks, Travis. The power is back on in Manford after an outage left many people in the dark and cold for hours.
People say the timing could not have been worse since the temperatures were starting to plummet. And News on 6's Cal Day is live in Manford with the latest. Cal?
Craig, Lori, people in town say it got real cold real fast at homes and businesses. Some people were trying to find ways to stay warm during that outage. Meanwhile, others were finding ways to help out. The lights are back on, which means it's business as usual inside this gas station off Highway 51 in Manford. Anna Marie Newman is back behind the counter after her Sunday shift was interrupted.
It was just black in here. All of the town was all black. There was a bunch of our customers sitting outside just waiting for us to open back up.
An outage left customers on the city's electric without power for hours. Newman says it did not take long for the bitter cold temperatures to creep in.
It was so cold in here. It was so fast. We kept the doors closed as much as possible, and our coolers were just 15 and lower in there.
The city says the outage was caused by strong winds. It says the biggest outages lasted around 4 hours. Customers say they also dealt with other temporary outages throughout the day.
As soon as it would come on, people would have a little bit of hope, and then it would go back out again. We got to help a lot of the community.
Brooke Smith runs an animal boarding business in town. She did not lose power and took in several dogs during the outage because the city's animal shelter went dark.
A lot of these small businesses stick together, and the community really sticks together, so it's just my way of giving back the way that I can.
The city says crews are inspecting lines to prevent other outages from happening. And some good news today. People here in Manford say they have not had any disruptions. Craig?
That's good news when it gets this cold. All right, Cal. Dave reporting live in Manford this evening. We appreciate it. In our Oklahoma Zone Focus on Kids, we're looking at what Tulsa Public Schools is doing to keep students warm during the cold weather. TPS says parents should still send their kids to school when it's cold. The district says bus drivers work extra hard to make sure their routes run on time so students don't have to wait too awful long at the bus stop.
They are our heroes and sheroes at this time. We're so appreciative of our bus drivers. They get up very early to make sure that our buses are heated, they're maintenance, and they're ready to go for our students to get on those buses and get to school every day.
TPS also has crews ready to put salt down on sidewalks if there's any snow or ice.
The Tulsa County Sheriff's Office is doing more active shooter training at schools this week. Deputies met with teachers and staff today at Keystone Elementary in Sand Springs to go through different scenarios and train them on what to do. They say it can be a heavy topic, but it can also save lives.
I would always want our teachers to feel adequately prepared and ready to face any scenario so that we have a better option of keeping our kids safe. That's our only goal.
Those deputies will be out there again tomorrow and Wednesday for additional training.
Work has started to widen Elm Street in Jenks to 5 lanes between 111th and 121st. The city will keep 1 lane open in both directions during that work. Crews will also add a pedestrian trail and improve drainage, and that should take about 18 months. Eventually, Elm will be expanded to 5 lanes down to 131st.
Folks across Oklahoma are paying more than 50% more for cattle than they were 2 years ago. We're going to talk to a rancher about how he's making it through with an unknown future in that industry.
And technicians across Tulsa are working hard to keep folks, make sure they're warm in these below freezing temperatures.
Winter.
Red Rooter.
Cattle prices are at a record high right now, and the USDA says the supply is at its lowest point since 1951.
And prices in Oklahoma have increased more than 61% in just the last 2 years. News on 6's Chin Doan is live in Osage County with how some ranchers are doing. Chin?
Craig and Lori, experts say the shortage of cattle has an impact on prices and possibly jobs. The owner of this cattle company in Barnsdall says it's been really hard dealing with higher prices of supplies for his cattle and all the extreme weather, but he's pushing through. When Mayor Johnny Kelly isn't working on his duties for the city of Barnsdall or responding to fire calls in Bartlesville, he's in his happy place, tending to his 700 head of cattle.
You definitely have to love this business to be in it.
This is the lowest number he's had in a long time.
It's really pretty scary because what it costs to buy a cow or a heifer or a pair.
Kelly says more ranchers are selling off their cattle because of the higher cost of feed, medicines, workers, and everything in between. All that is leading to historic high beef prices.
I believe they're finally catching up to where they need to be so that a man can afford to do this.
The USDA's latest count of cattle head in the United States is about 28 million, which is the lowest since 1951. Daryl Peel, an agricultural economics professor at Oklahoma State, says the ongoing drought has led to shrinking supply, which will impact prices and possibly jobs.
As these animals work their way through the system and go through the processing sector, those sectors are struggling right now with a lack of volume.
For Kelly, who had a tough 2024 dealing with 2 tornadoes in his hometown, there is a glimmer of hope through this calf he has named Tornado. The calf was just a week old when his mom died in the May 6th tornado.
He had some injuries, but he's alive, and I've got more in milk replacer or anything than he'll probably ever be worth. But
despite an unknown future for the cattle industry, this lifelong rancher says he's in it for the long ride.
You got to feed people. People got to eat.
Now, another factor adding to the cattle shortage is Mexico detecting screw-worm fly in its cattle in November. So the United States put a temporary ban of imports of Mexican cattle, but I'm told that import could soon resume. Craig?
A lot goes into it. Chin Doan reporting live in Osage County. We appreciate it, Chin. Experts say it would take adding another 4 million head of cattle to make prices drop significantly. That can't happen very fast, so prices are expected to be high through this year and possibly next year. Congress certified President-elect Donald Trump as the winner of the 2024 presidential election. Donald Trump beat Vice President Kamala Harris by 86 electoral votes. Today's certification comes 4 years after the Capitol was stormed as lawmakers certified President Joe Biden's 2020 win. Nearly 1,600 people have been charged with crimes related to that day, and 1,000 of those have pled guilty. President-elect Donald Trump has discussed pardoning many of those who have been convicted. Folks across Green Country are really feeling the below freezing temperatures. Travis tells us when temperatures could rise above freezing across our Osage Casino Skycam network.
But a lot of Tulsa businesses tell us they are getting ready to work some late night hours to make sure everybody's HVAC issues get resolved.
Is your furnace fix?
Really, it seems to happen every year. The below freezing temperatures are causing an increasing heating and plumbing issues across the Tulsa area.
Airco says it averages about 100 calls a day, but during weather like this, they get twice that many. News on 6's Amy Slanchik is live with their story. Amy?
Lori and Craig, Airco says it's seeing a mix of frozen pipes and HVAC issues and says technicians are prepared to work late into the night to help keep Tulsans warm. Outside his home near 15th and Yale, Airco is parked and ready to help.
Cold weather, no heat.
Inside, Ray Blakemore and his family are trying to stay warm.
Me, my wife, and my three other grandkids, so there's 5 total.
One source of heat, the living room fireplace.
This one helps quite a bit.
Ray also has his oven on.
Are you nervous using the oven to heat your home?
Somewhat, yeah, a lot of what, yeah, because gas could be dangerous.
Ray says he knows the risk, but he is desperate.
Yeah, very desperate to stay warm.
And this motor is the problem, says Airco service technician Gus Alshamet.
You can hear it how the bearing is, so it's not spinning freely.
He says it wasn't installed properly 3 years ago. It's missing a flue cover, so the motor wasn't protected from the rain. Time to call around town and look for a replacement.
Hey Todd, this is Gus. How you doing?
Good, busy, man. What's up?
Busy. Nothing. I'm looking for a part for aux box.
Okay, what part are you looking for?
I'm looking for inducer draft motor.
Several phone calls later and no luck yet, so Ray starts to think about another night in the cold.
Probably go get more heaters and bundle up and pray. Just pray that they can get it fixed.
And some good news late this afternoon. Gus was able to find that motor and replace it, so Lori, Ray's heat is working again.
That is good news, Amy. Thank you for that report. And technicians say another issue they run into is so many people don't have a carbon monoxide detector inside their home. That's dangerous, so they encourage people to get one right away if you don't have one.
From the Bob Mills Weather Center, the Oklahoma weather expert, Travis Meyer.
And you heard Lori, carbon monoxide. I just got caught with that problem just about a month ago. And it came almost close to being a very dangerous situation for me. So again, make sure you take care to make sure you're safe. All right, the sun is setting on basically the coldest day we've had since last February. It has been very chilly. The good news, though, just to kind of remind you, 5:24 is the sunset. The earliest the sun sets during the winter is 5:09, so it's at 5:24. So you got a little bit more sunlight. Isn't helping, though, at this point. Hey, this is a look at the Oklahoma-Kansas state line. You see Oklahoma City, Tulsa, so this is Oklahoma, and then this is the Kansas area. And you see where the snow made it into northwestern Oklahoma. Kansas was hit so hard with snow, shut down Interstate 70 for a while, and all the way to Kansas City was messed up. And then we got into northeastern Oklahoma. These are clouds right here, but earlier today, I can see a little bit of light snow cover in the far northeast parts of our state, and off and around Stillwell area. And then northwest Arkansas, a lot of snow up into Missouri and St. Louis. All right, so this is where the swath was the heaviest, and it was messed up, as I said, Interstate 70 to the north. A lot of folks were stranded there for a long time, and then we just kind of lucked out. We had snow, and it looked great, but it was cold out there, and then that storm has gone all the way to the East Coast now. So there's some good snow for the skiers out to the west. That is welcome news. Snow for kids who wanted it, but for everybody else who wants to travel, not good. And another storm system is developing. This one's going to take us into North Texas. Dallas could end up with a couple of inches of snow, maybe 5 inches of snow. So the beginning of that is just starting to show up. It's digging into southern California and southern Nevada. We already have freeze warnings in effect for southern portions of Arizona, and then travel advisories in New Mexico as that system starts to come on out. So it's running into this really cold air, so that's why the track is even getting pushed further south. So that's going to set us up for what will be a very interesting storm system Thursday night and Friday. Even Florida is going to start to cool off. But those are the only two warm spots, southwest and southeast United States. Our temperatures are in the 20s now. We're already down to 19 in Ponca City. As far as tonight is concerned, it's obviously going to be a cold night because it was a cold day. Bone dry air, so that's allowing our temperatures, actual temperatures, not wind chill, drop down single digits on the north side of Tulsa, 13 in Tulsa, 17 in McAllister. And as we go through tomorrow, again, even with sunshine, there's just nothing. Upper 20s to low 30s. Very similar to what we just went through today because this air mass is so cold. The only thing is winds will be a little bit lighter tomorrow afternoon. On Wednesday, we'll be in the teens. So again, just a few degrees warmer if you want to call 14 warmer. And then we'll be near freezing or at freezing on Wednesday afternoon. Fortunately, Wednesday has very light winds. Clouds start to come in with that next storm system as we go on into Thursday. Morning temperatures will be in the teens to around 20. And then clouds will be covering the area with increasing chances of snow developing Thursday night to the areas to the west of Tulsa. And then that'll take over much of Oklahoma early Friday morning. So we have a chance of several inches of snow here. Heavier snows probably if you're around McAllister down to the south. We'll be in the 20s in the morning. In the afternoon, we should be in the low 30s as that system exits the area. Very interesting. So again, this one is not north. This one's more south. And Tulsa's going to be on the northern edge of this one. And so that'll give us our higher probability of heavier snows to the south and east sides of Oklahoma. As far as precipitation timeline, we're looking for late Thursday, mainly Thursday night into early Friday morning. Could lead to travel difficulties, especially if you're thinking of going to Dallas at that time. So here's our forecast. Cold, 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 and then still pretty cold on Sunday and Monday. We get to warm up to 45, but here comes another cold front on Wednesday. And they're pretty serious cold fronts this time of year. That's your 9-day forecast. We'll be right back.
Are you looking for a heating and air company?
A local family-owned heating and air company?
You need Advantage. With incredible heating and air technicians that will treat you right?
You need Advantage.
When you have any heating or air problems, you need the best Advantage you can get.
You need Advantage.
Are you looking for a heating and air company?
You need Advantage. A reliable heating and air company that's been around since the 70s? You need Advantage.
H&M Advantage offers yearly maintenance agreements where we can take care of problems before they happen.
You need Advantage.
Hello? I need Advantage.
You need Advantage.
Tulsa's Gilcrease Museum wants to give people the chance to show off their skills inside their building until all the permanent exhibits are put into place.
Artists can submit ideas on the museum's website for ways to use the now empty space. That could be things like music shows, art exhibits, and demonstrations. The museum will provide a $250 stipend and some basic equipment for the ideas that get the go-ahead. You have until January 17th to submit proposals. The events will begin in May, and then the new museum will open at the end of next year.
So in the meantime, they're looking for folks to come in and do some things. That's a great idea.
Let's make tornado machines.
Wild weather camp right there.
Tornado machines.
That would be kind of nice.
Tornado machines. Maybe
In the
not.
meantime, no. We can make a snowman maybe by Thursday night or Friday. There's that chance of snow. We're going to talk a lot more about that coming up at 6 o'clock. But people are getting interested.
For sure.
Definitely. We'll see you in 30 minutes.